Alright, say hi, Ian.
Hey.
Yo, what is good, everybody, man? Hope y'all feeling loved and blessed as always, bro. Welcome back to another Kids Room podcast episode, man. Hey, when whenever times get tough, or when you feel a moment of weakness, or you feel as if you can't go on any longer, don't you realize that's when God works His greatest miracles? Understand that whenever life is like going against us, whenever the enemy might be trying to tempt you, or God might be trying to put you through a test, and then life is just, things aren't really just going your way, but at the same time, God is over here pointing things out to you, or sending you revelation, or sending you like different ideas and stuff like that. That's what I at least experience. I can't speak for everybody, but like sometimes, even in my hardest times, I still find a reason to thank God, because it could always be worse for one, right? Most times it could always be worse, but at the same time, it's also life. Like, whenever you start to understand faith, whenever you start to understand Christ and who He was and how He suffered, and at the end of the day, the purpose was to live who He was supposed to do what He was supposed to do, and die on the cross and serve His purpose. And that's the same way we have to go. So we have to experience loss. We have to experience sacrifice. We have to experience growth moments and those type of things, because that's going to show God working in the tough times, right? So I'm going to spend some time in Philippians on today. Philippians 1, starting off, Philippians 1, 12 through 15. And that says, "Now I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that what has happened to me has actually served to advance the gospel. As a result, it has become clear throughout the whole palace guard and to everyone else that I am in chains for Christ. And because of my chains, most of my brothers and sisters have become confident in the Lord and dare all the more to proclaim the gospel without fear. It is true that some preach Christ out of envy and rivalry, but others out of goodwill." So, whenever we experience strife and challenge, sometimes that's why it says to take joy and to take pleasure into those type of things, because whenever things get hard, the people that understand to keep going, to keep pushing, right, that they come to that realization that no one's coming to really help them out, that at the end of the day, you have to sit there and realize that your relationship with Christ is going to have to be strong enough for you to overcome any challenge that you're going through, right? Anything of faith that you have deep inside of you is going to be pulled out. It's going to be stretched out. It's going to be worked out, because it has to be strong. It has to gain endurance. Another word for that is just endurance. To gain endurance, to gain the ability to keep going, right? To gain the ability to break through that wall, to get to that lactic acid and to push past that, to break through, right? To make yourself better. Next, Philippians 1, 17 through 18. "The former preach Christ out of selfish ambition, not sincerely, supposing that they can stir up trouble for me while I am in chains. But what doesn't matter? The important thing is that in every way, whether my false motives or true, Christ is preached, and because of this I rejoice. Yes, and I will continue to rejoice." So God is gonna have His days regardless. God is gonna have life and make it what He wants it to be. At the end of the day, He's not gonna hold our hand throughout the whole thing. He's going to give us the free will, as He has done, as I state a lot, that He gives us the free will to follow Him each and every day. So if you choose to follow Him, you do it. If not, then at the end of the day, God is going to have to let you go, right? God is going to have to turn His back to you, turn His head from you. And the moment that happens, right, that's when the devil can pounce. The devil will prowl. The devil can kill, steal, and destroy. As all he's here to do. So whenever God is turning his back from people, that's what the devil is waiting on. The devil is not just waiting on you to mess up, but the devil is waiting on you to give up on God. Next, Philippians 1:29. For it has been granted to you on behalf of Christ, not only to believe in him, but also to suffer for him. Challenge, tribulation, trials. Challenge, tribulation, and trials. That's what it is, right? Don't we understand that God is working right now, even whenever you're struggling, even as you probably see this or you hear this, you're struggling with something. That's the thing. That's what I love about God, man. God ain't telling you to get it all together right now, to get it all together in one go. God wants you to get it together one day at a time. So focus on one thing at a time. Don't pray about everything at once. Don't pray about it all at once. You're going to overrun your mind with thoughts and things like that. God wants you to rest. God already knows what you're struggling with. God going to work it out, but you got to trust him and give your life to him and continue to say that and continue to show it. And watch how he makes wonders. Watch how he starts doing little waves and little highs that you through little things, even whenever you're in your storm. Jeremiah 29:11, one of my favorites. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Boom. Prosper you and not to harm you. You're already alive today, so that's the present. So the past is here to harm you. The past is here to harm you. Get past. Get through the past. Hit the present. Live there and know that God got you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Right there. Have faith. Have hope. Pray about it. Every day, ask for strength to do things like that, man, because that's very important. That's very important to understand that God has plans to help you out, but he has to push out the things that is not of him. So if you feel as if you're angry about something or God's pushing you towards something, that's probably because it's not of him. And we have to realize self-reflection is very important when that comes down to that, because you'll harm yourself and God didn't plan to harm you. But if you keep fighting it, you're only going to hurt yourself, man. Jeremiah 32:39 through 40 as well. I will give them singleness of heart and action, so that they will always fear me, and that all will then go well for them and for their children after them. I will make an everlasting covenant with them. I will never stop doing good to them, and I will inspire them to fear me, so that they will never turn away from me. The fear of the Lord is not something as if like you're scared to be in trouble or things like that. It's just that you know better, you're going to do better. So if you know you're doing wrong, you know at times like God is going to forgive you, but if you keep turning away from him, God is going to eventually punish you. He's going to discipline you. And well, I won't say even punish, it's more of a discipline. And it's not to harm you, but it's to like tell you that, you know, I'm going to do it here. I'm going to do it in your spirit, in your soul, in your heart. Because when you go out there in the real world, when you go out there outside of like where you're praying at, wherever you're speaking to God at, outside of being in his presence, it's dangerous. And the enemy will flood you with bad things, negativity, to drown out what God is doing to you. So remember that. Romans 8:18. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. Not revealed to us, because it's not a materialistic thing, but in us, within us, the light in us, right? We are the salt of the earth, the lamp, guys. We have to understand that God wants us to be messengers of him, to live through him, to speak about him, to love others through him as he would to us. So whatever you're going through now, whatever you suffer through now, that God is going to give you pleasure. He's going to give you glory in the end of it. And it's something that is going to become something that you realize. Something that you got to go through, though. Something that you got to feel like it's going to be ripped away from you in order to be given back to you tenfold. That's how it goes. It's got to be taken away from you, but God wants you to give it. He doesn't want to always have to take it. Last one, James 1:2-4. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. Spiritually, don't we know that God is working when things aren't going right? That's when he's working best. When you're facing things, whenever we're facing things, but God is like, he's not facing anything. He's done it. He's already done it for us. So the perseverance that we gain from it, that's something that we don't lack anymore. So now we have added something. God ain't getting nothing added to him from us. We are going to getting things added to us from him. And that's what we have to see it as. That we do not lack anything when we are with God. All we have to do is ask and say, that's what I want, God. This is what I'm looking for, God. What do you want from me, God? What are your desires for me, God? That's what I want. Because at the end of the day, those dreams that you have, those things that you dream of, those things that you want, is gonna come from him. It's gonna come through him. It's gonna come from your spirit and seeing it and really just, even whenever you're going through it, most of the time you gotta realize that God is in control. When you realize God is in control, then you want to drop your control. You want to gain your self-control. God talks more about self than he does about the world, man. The testing of your faith produces perseverance. The lack that we think that we have is the exact opportunity God is looking for. God wants for you to feel like you have, God doesn't want you to feel like you have lack. God wants you to feel like you need him. You do need God. God wants you to feel like that, though. He doesn't want to force you to feel like that. You got to feel like that. So yeah, you are born into sin, and it's not God's problem, and it's not God's fault. So we can't do that, but we have to gain endurance. We have to work it out in our mind through consistency and thought control and self-control. Through doing that, we understand that God works best when things aren't going right. Man. But hey, thank you, man. I appreciate y'all tapping in with me again, bro. Welcome back. We doing this with videos now. We going on YouTube, you know what I'm saying? And just spreading the word, studying, and as I do things, you know, as God speaks to me, I write things down now. I read about it, and I have to just gain knowledge. Just gaining knowledge every day. It's not about being a know-it-all, but it's about being interested in what I am truly found interested in, and that's God, and wanting to know God, and actually daring myself now to just see what God has for me, right? And in order to find out what God has for me, I have to go ahead and find out who God is. And finding out who God is going to reveal what he has for me. And for you as well. But man, I appreciate y'all tapping in with me, man. Catch me on the next episode, bruh. And yeah, I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one.